Honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base, and yeah, there's no place for it. And we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media, and there's no place for it. You know, we come to play basketball for our job, and it's fun, but we don't want to go to work every day and have social media blown up over things like that. It's uncalled for, and something needs to be done.
Is the WNBA about to lose one of its biggest stars? Alyssa Thomas just got suspended, and it's not for what you think. This isn't about a hard foul or trash talk. We're talking serious allegations of racist comments. But here's the kicker. She's the one who made the accusations. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Picture this. Connecticut Sun versus Indiana Fever in a playoff game. The arena's on fire, fans are going wild, and the tension is through the roof. Thomas and Clark's supporters are at each other's throats. It's like a pressure cooker ready to explode. Now, you'd think Thomas got suspended for something she did on the court, right? Nope. After the Sun knocked out the Fever in a nail-biter, Thomas dropped a bombshell.
If they had played a road game, it would have been in Indiana. She goes into an arena. Is social media there waiting for her as she walks through security? The Indiana Fever don't have to do something to get you away from social media. Put your phone down. Don't download the apps. Don't engage. We all know what this really is. It's an attack on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's the wrong face for this league because her fans are so racist.
She accused Clark's fans of racism. Can you believe it? The WNBA had to step in, and now Thomas is sitting out. But trust me, there's way more to this story than meets the eye. You won't want to miss what happens next. Now, before Thomas dropped that racism accusation, tensions were already sky high. Picture this, a playoff game, two stars colliding, and social media ready to explode. What went down between Thomas and Clark that pushed things to the breaking point? It all started with a hard screen. You know, one of those plays that's technically legal but makes you wince when you see it. Thomas set one on Clark that had fans and analysts talking for days. Some called it tough basketball, others, they weren't so kind. The moment that screen connected, it was like someone lit a match in a room full of gasoline. Clark's supporters went wild. They flooded Thomas's social media with angry comments.
Instagram wasn't there waiting for me. Instagram and Twitter, these are choices we make. It could have been somebody from Connecticut pretending to be an Indiana Fever fan, or someone from Connecticut who doesn't like you because you're a whiny victim 24/7. In my 11 years, I've never dealt with what I've dealt with. You know why? Because no one cared about your league before Caitlin Clark.
We're talking thousands of notifications, each one more heated than the last. Thomas's phone was probably hotter than the court during that game. But here's the thing, this wasn't just about one play. The WNBA's getting more popular, which is awesome, right? More eyes on the game, more fans cheering for their favorites. But with that spotlight comes a darker side. Players are dealing with a level of scrutiny they've never seen before. Every move, every word, it's all under the microscope. Thomas wasn't the only one feeling the heat. Her teammate, Dejanai Carrington, got caught in the crossfire too. After a separate incident with Clark, Carrington's social media blew up with nasty comments. It's like the fans forgot these are real people behind those screens. So there's Thomas, fresh off a tough playoff win, probably still catching her breath. She's got her phone blowing up with angry messages, her teammates dealing with the same thing, and the pressure's building. What does she do? She goes nuclear. In her post-game interview, Thomas doesn't hold back. She accuses Clark's fans of racism. It's like she took all that online hate and lobbed it right back. But here's where it gets tricky. She didn't have any proof. It was her word against an entire fan base. Now, some people are saying Thomas was just trying to save face. They're saying she played the race card to distract from her performance on the court.
I've been on Twitter since 2009 or 8, somewhere around there. The abuse, the things that are said and have been said about me will be said about me today. Turn to your teammate and say, hey, cut it out. But that's not what she's going to do or anybody's going to do. They're all going to, oh, it's Caitlin Clark, it's her fans. And now that Caitlin Clark has exited, they'll get to deal with the traveling gay sex cult that they're comfortable with.
One commentator even said she was weaponizing controversy to shield herself from criticism. That's a pretty serious accusation, right? But let's take a step back. What if Thomas really did face racist comments? We know it happens in sports. Heck, it happens everywhere. But without evidence, it's her word against theirs. And in the world of social media, that's a dangerous game to play. This whole mess forces us to look at ourselves, doesn't it? How do we act online when we're hiding behind a screen name? Are we treating these players like human beings, or just characters in some drama we're watching unfold? The WNBA is growing, and that's awesome. But with growth comes growing pains. Players are under more pressure than ever. Fans are more invested than ever, and sometimes that passion boils over into something ugly. The WNBA was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Protect Thomas from alleged racism, or shield Clark from potentially false accusations? Their decision was about to change the game, literally and figuratively. So what did the WNBA do? They came out swinging with an official statement that packed a punch. They made it crystal clear. Racist, derogatory, or threatening comments directed at players are a big no-no. The league wasn't messing around. They said they're keeping a close eye on any threat-related stuff, and they're ready to team up with law enforcement if things get serious. But here's where it gets tricky. The WNBA had to walk a tightrope. On one side, you've got Thomas, a star player saying she's facing racism. On the other, you've got Clark's fans who are being accused without any solid proof. Talk about a lose-lose situation. Some people think Thomas was just trying to save face after a rough game. They're saying she played the race card to distract from her performance. One commentator even said she was weaponizing controversy to shield herself from criticism. That's a pretty heavy accusation, right? But let's pump the brakes for a second. What if Thomas really did face racist comments? We know it happens in sports. The problem is, without evidence, it's her word against an entire fan base. And in the world of social media, that's like lighting a match in a room full of fireworks. This whole mess forced the WNBA to take a hard look at itself. How do you protect your players when the threat isn't coming from inside the court, but from behind a screen? It's not like they can put a referee in charge of Twitter, right? The league's been trying to step up its game when it comes to player safety. They've got security for each team now, and they're keeping tabs on online threats. But some players are saying it's not enough. They want the WNBA to act faster and hit harder when it comes to harassment. You know what's crazy? This isn't just about Thomas and Clark. It's like the WNBA got caught in the middle of a perfect storm. The league's getting more popular, which is awesome, but it's also putting players under a microscope like never before. Every move, every word, it's all up for debate. And sometimes that debate turns ugly. This incident exposed a huge challenge for the WNBA. How do you balance protecting your players with making sure everyone's treated fairly? It's not like there's a rule book for dealing with social media drama and racism accusations. You think the Thomas Clark drama is intense. It's just the tip of the iceberg. The WNBA's exploding popularity is like a double-edged sword, bringing in more fans but also attracting more haters. This isn't just about two players anymore, it's about a league that's growing faster than it can handle. Let's zoom out for a second. Remember Brittany Griner? She's been dealing with online harassment for years. And what about Dijonai Carrington? She got hit with a wave of nasty comments after a game against Clark's team. It's like every time the WNBA takes a step forward, someone's trying to drag it 2 steps back. Players are speaking up, and they're not holding back. Brianna Turner straight up called out the toxic fans. She's saying, hey, can we focus on the game and not all this drama? But it's not that simple. The league's getting more attention than ever, and not all of it's good. You know what's wild? The WNBA commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, is catching heat too. Players are pushing her to take a stronger stand against online harassment and racism. It's like they're saying, hey, we need more than just words. We need action. And then there's Angel Reese. She's out here defending players against accusations of being jealous of Clark. It's like the whole league is caught in this crazy web of race, rivalry, and social media madness. This Thomas Clark situation, it's forcing us to look at some big questions. How do we balance competition and respect? How do we celebrate star players without tearing others down? And most importantly, how do we tackle racism in sports head-on? The WNBA is growing, and that's awesome. More fans, more coverage, more excitement. But it's like they opened Pandora's box. All these issues that were always there, they're out in the open now, and the league's scrambling to figure out how to deal with them. Think about it. A few years ago, most people couldn't name 5 WNBA players. Now, they're household names. They're on billboards, in commercials, all over social media. That's great for the sport, but it also means every move is under a microscope. And here's the thing, it's not just about basketball anymore. These players are role models, activists, and influencers. They're carrying the weight of representation on their shoulders. When someone like Thomas speaks up about racism, it's not just about her, it's about every kid watching who sees themselves in her. But with that power comes responsibility. When players make accusations, they've got to back them up. And when fans support their favorites, they need to do it without tearing others down. It's a balancing act, and right now, it feels like everyone's wobbling. So what's the solution? Some say the league needs stricter rules about online behavior. Others think it's about education, teaching fans to appreciate the game without getting personal. And then there are those who say this is bigger than basketball. It's about addressing racism and sexism in society as a whole. One thing's for sure, the WNBA can't ignore this. They're at a crossroads. How they handle this Thomas Clark situation could set the tone for years to come. Will they crack down on toxic behavior? Will they give players more support? Or will they try to sweep it under the rug and hope it blows over? Here's the real question. What are we, as fans, going to do about it? Are we part of the problem or part of the solution? Every time we post on social media, every comment we make, we're shaping the future of the league. We've got the power to celebrate these amazing athletes without tearing anyone down. Alright, let's break this down. Alyssa Thomas got suspended after accusing Caitlin Clark's fans of racism. The WNBA's in a tough spot trying to protect players while keeping things fair. This isn't just about Thomas and Clark anymore, it's shaking up the whole league. So, is Thomas's career over? Maybe not. This could be the wake-up call the WNBA needs. They're facing some big questions about race, rivalry, and how to handle online drama. It's not just about basketball anymore. These players are role models, and every move they make is under a microscope. Here's the thing, we all have a part to play. Whether you're a die-hard fan or just tuning in, how we talk about these issues matters. It's time to step up and support the players, the game, and each other. Let's make the WNBA a place where everyone feels respected, on and off the court.